Welcome to my class. Psalms 37 verse 5. Commit thy way unto the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. God bless us all. Keep safe and enjoy learning. Good day, everyone. Our lesson for the day is all about the classification of plants. You learned that oxygen is a waste product of photosynthesis. Without oxygen, living things could not exist on Earth. Aside from providing oxygen, plants are also the main source of food on Earth. There are many different kinds of plants on Earth. Some are big, while others are too tiny to be seen by our naked eye. They also differ in the places they live and grow. So to classify the plants, we have our botanists. They are the scientists who specialize in the study of plants, classify plants according to their similarities and differences. So who studies specialization of plants? They are the botanists. And while the taxonomy, it is a branch of science that classify plants and animals according to their characteristics. Okay, remember the two important words in our discussion for today, the botanist and the taxonomy. Okay, we have this diagram of the plant kingdom. So we have the vascular and the non-vascular. So we have two groups. In vascular, we have the angiosperm and the gymnosperm. While in non-vascular, we have the ferns, moss, and horsetails, the algae, and the moss, and the liverwort. So we will discuss it one by one. What are the characteristics of plants? So plants are divided into two major groups. That is the non-vascular and the vascular. So first, we have the non-vascular. Non-vascular are plants that have no roots, stems, and leaves. They have no structure to transport water and nutrients. So that is the non-vascular. So how do non-vascular plants get water? If they have no roots or through roots, no through stems, and no through leaves. So water and other substance move from one part of the plant to another. Remember the word diffusion. Diffusion is the movement of molecules from where they crowded to where they less crowded. So that is how the non-vascular plants get water. Okay po, since diffusion is slow, it takes a long time for substance to move to different parts of the plants. This is why non-vascular plants are small. Okay po, and the second one is the vascular. They have the through roots, stems, and leaves. They have structures to transport water, nutrients. They have the structure to transport the water and nutrients. So these structures are called the xylem. It is the tissue that carries water and dissolved minerals from the soil, and the phloem that carries dissolved food from the leaves to all parts of the plant. So that is the structure of the vascular plants. Vascular plants are subdivided into seeding producing and non-seeding producing. So we have the seeding producing plants. Okay, seeding producing plants next. So we have the angiosperms. Okay. The seeds of an angiosperm is produced inside the fruit of the plant. Remember, it is produced inside the fruit of the plant. Thousands of plants that produce flowers are found in the world. They are more numerous than non-flowering plants. Okay, why do you only notice a few plants bearing flowers when you take a walk? So why nga ba? Bakit? Here are some of the reasons. First one, Sometimes the flowers are too small or hidden, so you need to look closer to find them. Second one, some flowers are not flower-like but look more like leaves. And the third one is most flowering plants flower only certain times of the year. So these are the some reasons why we only notice a few plants bearing flowers when we take a walk. So that's very important to take a walk sometimes. Next, there are two kinds of angiosperms. The first one is the monocot plant and the second one is the dicot plant. Characteristics of monocot plant. First, seed with only cotyledon. So cotyledon is a seed leaf that contains food for a growing young plant. Remember, cotyledon is a seed leaf that contains food for a growing young plant. Next characteristic of monocot is leaves are narrow with parallel leaf veins. Third, the bundles of vascular tissues such as xylem and phloem are scattered in the stem. And the fourth one, the flower petals are in multiples of 3. Last characteristics of monocot plant, it has a fibrous root. If you remember our discussion yesterday, we discussed about the roots. Monocot, it has one cotyledon or seed leaf. The word monocot came from the word mono, which means one, and the cot meaning cotyledon or seed leaf. Always remember that. So next, characteristics of dicot plant. So meaning, when we say dicot, it has two seed leaves. Always remember that. Okay po? And the characteristics of the dicot plant, seed with two cotyledon. Leaves have netted leaf venation. The bundles of vascular tissue such as xylem and phloem are arranged in a ring. The flower petals are in multiples of 4 or 5 and they have a taproot system. Okay, that is the characteristics of a dicot and monocot plant, and that is belong to angiosperm. Next, the second one is the gymnosperms. Okay, gymnosperms are the plants without true flowers. Instead of flowers, their naked seeds are produced at the ends of a short stalks, as in ginkgo, or in the woody cones, as in cycads and the conifers. Fact. So, ginkgo trees are the only survivors of one large group of gymnosperm. They can grow to about 20 meters tall. So that is the ginkgo trees. And next fact is about the woody cones. The woody cones are made up of scale-like parts and the seeds develop outside scale. Most gymnosperm grow cones. Remember that. Okay. And this explains why they are called conifers. Conifers which means cone bearing. So cone-like siya nabubuo o nag-grow. Okay? Remember that. Their leaves have a needle-like shape protected by a thick waxy covering to prevent water loss. This protection is important because many conifers grow in areas with little rain. Many conifers have green leaves all year long for this reason. They are called the evergreen. So examples: ginkgo, cycads, conifers like pine, fir, spruce, cypress, juniper, and the larch. That is the examples of gymnosperms. Next, we have the second group, the non-seed bearing plants or the non-vascular. First, we have the thallophytes. Thallophytes is what we call the algae. Oh, remember, thallophytes is what we called algae. Algae is the simplest of the plants. Remember that. Algae is the simplest of the plants. Most important food makers in the water environment, that is the algae, because they have the chlorophyll that they supply food and oxygen for fish and other water organisms. So that is the algae. Remember that. So why is algae important? First, kelp is a kind of brown algae is used as food by many other living things. Second, certain chemicals from algae are used to thicken foods like ice cream and jellies. Have you wondered if you eat ice cream and jellies? That is how important algae is. Next, number 3, algae undergoes the process of photosynthesis and is believed to be the main source of free oxygen on Earth. And the last one, some algae known as seaweed supply agar, the jelly on which bacteria is grown in science laboratories. Agar is used to identify organisms that cause disease. That is the importance of algae. Next, we have the briophyte. Briophyte. This is the mouse and the liverwort. Okay. These algae produce their own food. If the algae is the food maker, this mouse and liverwort is produce their own food. They live in moist and shady areas. Liverwort is a flat and grows very close to the ground, while mouse has a leaf-like structure arrangement around a very short stalk. Next, the petiolado. This is the ferns, the moss, and the horsetails. Plants that have true roots, stems, and leaves but no seeds are club moss and horsetails. They can make their own food because they have the chlorophyll. Pteridophytes reproduce through spores. Remember, they reproduce through spores. In ferns, spores are located on the bottom sides of their leaves. They grow in shady and moist places. Usually, they have tall and upright stems. So that is the characteristics of pteridophytes. So club moss grows mainly in shady areas and in damp sites. Mountains and forests are the best place for these plants. Siguro ito yung nakikita natin na parang lumot kung tinatawag na ating mga magulang. And the horsetails have tiny scales like leaves. They are usually found in sandy and moist places. They absorb sand from their surroundings, causing their stems to feel rough. Because of their roughness, some people call them scouring rushes and use them to scrub pans, pots, and other kitchen utensils. So that is the horsetails. Other ways of grouping plants. So we have the other ways of grouping plants. This is according to lifespan. So we have 3, the annual plants, the biennial plants, and the perennial plants. So annual plants die at the end of a year. You have to plant new seeds yearly to get a crop. While the biennial plants take 2 years before producing their seeds. On the first year, leaves and stem are produced, and on their second year, flowers and seeds are produced, and then they die. That is the biennial plants. And while the perennial plants, they live for more than 2 years Most fruit trees are the perennials. Okay, remember that? 3 other ways of grouping plants. So classifying and identifying plants is important in order to understand their habitat, how they adapt to the environment, and how they reproduce. So that's all for today. Thank you very much for listening. God bless you all. Keep safe and enjoy learning. Goodbye.